In the summer of 2024, 12 of the greatest minds in the history of video game development, design, and theory gathered in the woods of Southern Oregon to discuss the modern gaming industry and the emergence of artificial intelligence technology. This is a series of conversations between old friends, old men now, men who have shaped the gaming world as we know it today, and whose innovations will continue to influence how we play for generations to come. Episode 15, a celebration of influence, mentorships, collaborations, and legacies.
Can I take one moment? With this group here, it's just a unique opportunity. And I think all of us have been influenced by each other and have had the privilege of being in this industry. So I would like to personally thank this group. But as I mentioned earlier, without SimCity, there wouldn't be a civilization. Chris, without Daybreak Atari and all the work that you did to make that machine work and inspire us to do things. I remember you bringing me to LucasArts and introducing me to the cool library there that has inspired me for ages. I just wonder if we want to take a moment to kind of thank each other for the influence we've had on each other's career. I don't think any of us would want to change what we do for a living and have done, and it's been such an opportunity that wouldn't have happened with a lot of the folks in this group. So I want to personally thank everyone here, and especially those that have had a real influence on what I've been able to do. Do we want to take a moment just to kind of appreciate what other folks.
Well said.
Yeah, that's fine.
He wants us to talk about pirates some more.
That's exactly where I was going. Besides thanking you for all the huge amounts of productive time I lost to various versions of Civilization, not to mention F-19 and F-15 and all the other stuff. I was a huge fan of your stuff. But if it not for pirates, there wouldn't have been the boxing interface for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And if I had not kept that quiet, that I had stolen that idea from pirates and turned into boxing, then when Ron Gilbert said, hey, your boxing interface would make a great pirate fencing interface at the island. And I said, yeah, let's do something else. And there would not be insult sword fighting in the island. So you were indirectly responsible for that as well. And I thank a lot of the rest of you. I mean, Atari 800 was my first computer that I had, and the Eastern Front, like another great game that I spent hours and hours on, as I mentioned before. Certainly, the great times I had with the Sims and conversations with you and Sid and Danny. I remember talking about AI strategy programming that was really fun, and and Don helped launch me in games as that Star Trek game. I'm thinking we need to compare notes because I may have actually played another branch of the one that you were off of now, having heard that, because whatever, I'd like to dig in.
There are multiple branches. We did that. They were now. We died on that
And obviously, Rich, I have to thank you for everything you did with getting my stuff done at EA.
We got it published, baby. We got it out. We even sold some units of that stuff.
That was a record breaker for LucasArts class,
including Rich and Gordon. They've worked on a lot of my projects with so many others. Brett.
That was a gift. I can't describe how lucky I feel I am. Nobody will ever get. I think I worked on like 160 titles. Yeah. Nobody will ever get to do that again.
Yeah, the breadth of your experience there, and Chris, I spent so much time on Pagan versus Flamel. I say it was my favorite genre. But yeah, everybody here
Well, I went to school from you two guys. So I read your book. I didn't, because I wasn't an 800 owner. I didn't get to play as many of your game fits, and Patton versus Ronald was one person I got to spend any real time with. But I think I've told you, Ferrari Formula One, which is the first game I designed, is a straight up ripoff of 15 from my perspective. It's just F15 is a racing game. Yeah. And, you know, it was built around the same problems that we had.
The art of computer game design, first time I thought, wow, this might actually be a career.
That's right. Yeah.
David Atari was Anne's like most treasured possession. She finally got a copy of it, and I couldn't take it out of her office. I had to like go look at it. Like, anyway, thank you so much for that. That played a lot of.
Sid, General Patton once said, "The point in war is not to die for your country; it's to make the other fellow die for his country." Well,
The other poor bastard.
Poor bastard.
that's right.
Although those are Copeland's words, but we'll go.
First, Scott delivered it well.
Yes, he did.
There's an analogous concept with respect to game design, and so I will say Civ is the only game I continue to play even now. I have been playing it continuously, not often, but I don't play games anymore, except for Civilization.
Well, you're going to get another one soon. That's what we hear.
Yes.
Works. Actually doing this for a living.
Thank you. 2 joysticks.
I've learned a lot about production. Right. Large scale, super inspirational. Wasteland, even though. But I love that job. And Rich is just a troublemaker. I have. And I loved emulating that as much as I could.
That's what my business card says, by the way.
It's a shame Danny couldn't be here with us.
Yeah.
You know, Danny, you know, I was always kind of jealous that, like, because I wasn't from the Bay Area. So, you know, I'm not in Orange County, and I was really the only guy there. And I kind of got the scene going down there. And so you guys all got to work with each other, and I'd come up to the GDC or the symposium, and I'd get to interact a little bit with you guys. With all of your products, absolutely, you know. And I remember, you know, in the particular, I would talk and like, hey, there's actually like a science behind that, you know, like it isn't just like random, you know, because when you're young, you just play it. And I remember I knew how to do 6502, and I was like, well, what does the Atari use? And I called the Atari the main line. I said, hey, what kind of processor is inside? And she says, if you don't know now, you'll never know. I was like 17, like, oh. And so thankfully I got an Apple II, and that allowed me to kind of get behind this. But that was literally what she told me. Like, it was like zero encouragement whatsoever.
That works for any answer you don't know. The person then turned to the one next to her and says, yeah, do you know what it is?
What year was that?
I mean, I was still in high school, so 77, 78, I don't know. When did it come out? Maybe 79.
The 800 came out in September. The 2600 came out in 77.
It was right around 77, 78 that I would add that I made that call. I was similarly turned down.
Well,
it took us to 80 to connect.
The Atari did not want that information released. We're going to have all the software for ourselves. And it took all of the programmers at Atari to say, no, that's not how it works. You want everybody writing software for it. And Reiche, he was finally brought around to that point of view. And the day I read the memo saying, okay, you can release the information on how the 2600 works, I got on the phone and I started calling people. And I went to the photocopier and started copying documents and sticking them in envelopes. We got the word out pretty quickly. But
and I would say one thing that transcends it when I tell people about being in the industry that I get to work with smart, ethical people.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in a lot of industries. We know a lot of people that we're trying to get from the record business and the home cassette business, and so I feel like, you were great dealing with you all the time. There's just straightforward, passionate, ethical, smart people. I think, I feel very fortunate that I've sort of got to grow up with that kind of environment.
Passionate.
And I
could find those sometimes elsewhere, things you said, but passionate for the work.
Yeah.
It's the thing that really defines us. And we're in it for the long term. I think the reason we're here is because we were in it for the long term. We paid prices that there simply were easier jobs. They just were. And we did this when it wasn't an easy job, when it wasn't clear in a place that even it was an outcome. And so I think the ethics is a good example of part of it. It's just part of the long term. The minute you're playing for the long term, you can't screw people. It comes back. It doesn't work. So almost everybody in this room, virtual room, played for true long term. And that's why we're here. The guys who aren't, my existence proof of that is, remember Dave Gordon, guy who ran Datamost, famous for the women that
sticky.
Yeah, exactly. Famous for the women that he put in his booth. Who wishes Dave Gordon was still in this business? All right. That's a good example of somebody who was in the short term. He was trying to exploit it for the short term, and he's gone.
Parts and scaling.
Those of us lucky enough to work with Charleston was, I spent so much time with Gary. He taught me so much, not just, about games, but about business and teams and management and all that stuff. And
he's a dirty hockey player. He's a dirty hockey player.
Yeah, well, I might be. Somebody asked me, Gary, I love that you're spending all the time, telling me all this stuff. Why? He said, look, I just, one day I want you to pay it forward, he's doing the same thing for other people, and, that's kind of where I got my business ethics from them. The thing where you're like, so above board. I told the story of what happened in Sioux City and how they created absolutely straight. Oh, yeah. They at every level. I can't fault them for anything they ever did. And I admit, when I was walking with Jeff over to the distribution, to the office of the distribution, hey, why didn't we get this? Why didn't we get this? And then set that up. But they set such a wonderful example. But they helped launch Maxis. Maxis would not exist except for the fact that they brought us on as an affiliate label, which we can afford to do all that stuff. And so they were still behind it. I was in the room and it was sincere at the moment when that was all happening. And that was sincere, heartfelt, and with no reservation, because they knew they had given me life. Yeah. And that was they treated it as a fait accompli. And it was such a great example of that exact form of ethics. And that's why I still work with Lauren Elliott. But I think I certainly have a lot. I drove Doug nuts because I argued with Doug a lot. I think if I invested it, but there were times when I didn't. There's times I produced people in this group, and I didn't want to tell you how much I felt I was learning from you. Because as the producer, I was supposed to be. And that million months, I felt like I was learning a dog years, working with you guys on our project. And Chris, I didn't know war games until I worked with you. It was an area I was playing baseball games in my basement instead of war games in my basement. And I learned about so much from you about that I then generalized to other games. So I was so grateful for that opportunity from you. And then just the sense of mutual support from people at the time. And Rich, there was a point where your support was critical in our having the chance to do a number of major titles that you worked out well. Without your support, plenty of great.
In most cases, I was just the guy with the broom that's about to get.
You gave me an extra N-wire board and I didn't deserve it.
Just very different. I can make more.
And then in general, the emotional support we all give each other, ranging from when you were first with me and you come up and your enthusiasm is so great, and you just felt like somebody gave you late in the day and somebody gave you a nice shot. It's not like they're ready to go. And just generally over time, I know I've told you too many times about how I admire your work. It's probably boring by now, but you will.
Keep going.
One of the expressions of the community aspect of it that you guys are describing was the Game Developers Conference, which was clearly, I mean, the whole community regarded it as a collegial process. This is for community service. And the way people shared information and really tried to help each other.
No, but you sent that Moray. Yep. You were the leader who set the Moray. Yeah. This is how this is going to work. And you sent it with your newsletter, and then you immediately followed it. Yeah, so it's your ethos. You cannot dodge this. Yep.
It was.
And I agree.
But the community, I mean, I couldn't have pushed this on the community. The community, I was really reflecting the mores of the community. I was just saying, hey guys, we all want to be collegial. That was the programming ethos on it.
Was we all going to who all stepped up and did it? I looked at that first newsletter series of newsletters, and you were leading the list to follow. I barely knew Chris. He was like Mick Jagger to me. Like, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, because you would just sort of come on, do your dramatics, and then run out the door. And it was like a performance. So like, who is that guy? You know? And it was, it was like so alien. It was like you were bringing, I think, entertainment to what was kind of a nerdy, hobbyist business. And
I had
like an elevation of theatrics to it. Unless they're busy at entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun doing those lectures. Yeah. But again, this is, I mean, someone was talking about how you get feedback from your audience and it gives you more energy. Same thing in a lecture situation. You just, all you do, this is why I walk around. All you do is show a lot of energy, you know, bouncing around a lot. And then the audience starts feeling the energy and they start getting hyped, and that feeds back to you. And it really works.
That's it. I think there were programs before then that were similar to GDC, but they had walls. Either there were limitations of who could come for corporate or other reasons, or they simply had a numbers problem. They couldn't take very many numbers. What you did was you eliminated the doors. Yeah. And that was incredibly important.
So what exactly was the time between the very first GDC something now? 88, about the comment.
No, it's early 88 was the one in Chris's home, and then late 88 was the first hotel one. I know this because Wikipedia got it wrong, and I said, no, the first one wasn't in 87. They were both in the same year. But I met Brian Moriarty the day after the home one when you were given a talk on just my memories of all of this. That Brian had come out to your first, meeting in the home about this one. And then the next day or the day after that, you were giving a talk somewhere. There's only like 20 of us in the audience, but I ended up sitting next to Brian, finding out who he was and recruiting him to come to Lucasfilm at their fight. But
well, it's 46 years.
Yeah,
46 years.
My God.
I want to give Chris a round of applause.
That no problem.
Let it go. This is like, yeah, the German box.
Thank you.
Sorry. My bad. If it wasn't for the GDC, I probably would have left the industry after Infocom shut down. I came out to the third GDC, the 89 GDC, 3 days after Infocom shut down. Otherwise, I would have been isolated in Massachusetts. I knew no one in the industry. There's almost no other game development in New England at that time. Snow plow dry. Damn. Or something even less.
Gotta avoid all the lawn chairs.
Yeah. Long way you been. I got my degree in construction management. That's what I did for the first couple of years after I graduated. And talk about working with really smart and really honest people. Absolute opposite. Least interesting, least honest people you can imagine.
I only alternative was psychotheology in the Middle East. Well, it could have been interesting. I wanted to do field geology. I did it at Berkeley, which is also where I grew up. And I found out I am so allergic to poison oak, I was hospitalized. Wow. And I went back to my professor and I said, so what do we do? And he said, you study effective geology in the Middle East. Because everywhere else, interesting geology is surrounded by poison oak. And unless you're the one person who gets to go to Hawaii and won't. So,
Well,
I probably would have ended up in robotics somewhere. Because I was building robots. That's what got me to buy my first Apple II, was to control these weird robots I was building. And that's what really got me to learn to program.
interesting. The robotics must have been far more difficult back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was living in New York at the time. I get down to Houston Street. Well, this military surplus, landing gear, hydraulics and stuff, and, bolted together.
fun.
I worked on a robot at Milton Bradley when you started comparing 80 Walton
Oh, okay.
notes.
Well, I was, I liked computers a lot. I was writing games before I went to college. So, yeah, so what would I have ended up doing if there wasn't a games business after that? I would have ended up. So my two job offers were go work on this freaking space shuttle. But since I was already doing microcomputer stuff, I go, wow, they got less RAM and it's slower.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's gonna suck. And then the other one was to program the new drones, to kill people. So I was like, okay, these are not the ideal career paths. I think I'd rather be doing something stupid.
I had been teaching, and when the teaching job in '79 ended, I spent a long time looking for a job. My wife Kathy had, through a complex series of events, had gotten a job in Silicon Valley, and so we were looking for something in the area, and I only found one job that met my qualifications, and that was writing targeting software at Lawrence Livermore Lab for nuclear weapons. And
We could have worked together, Chris.
I was not very enthusiastic about that. And then by another long, complicated sequence of coincidences, I ended up at Atari. So,
Well, in college, I went in thinking maybe I'd be an astronomer, and I found out what real astronomers had to go through to kind of get to that point. It was not quite instead of poison oak, it was being up at 3 a.m. working for the professor, who would, direct me to freeze and in the observatory. And I discovered programming, but I don't think I would have been a programmer if not for the computer games that I discovered at the same time. But that was the job that I ended up doing through college, never thinking there was a career possible, and just making games in college that turned out to be the perfect prep for this industry I didn't know existed. So I don't know. I think I would have possibly been a bad accounts receivable programmer and a frustrated and broke science fiction writer, on the side. Probably, who knows? Well, ball for life.
Yeah, I've got a lot of parallels to Noah.
Oh, I never would have done that.
I graduated in '74, so there was no industry. I was writing games, kept writing games on mainframes. And I taught school because I knew that professional writers starved for many years before you got to where you could live off like a professional actor's salary. And radio DJs had to move to the Midwest. I didn't want to do any of those things. And I liked teaching. And so I did that for 6 years as a bilingual teacher, middle school and upper elementary, in Southern California. But I was able to keep writing games because I got my master's into things. And then I got hired as adjunct. So I got to write the themes for about a year. Just at the point where I sold my first novel after I made a major magazine, just at the point where I won a significant playwriting award, is when I got to the point that the industry got along about. And I had the chance to go work at CSL as Dandy at 5 in 1980, and veered off of my teach from the writing career, veered off.
as a career instead of a hobby?
For me, actually, I was trained to be a decathlete, the Olympic, and we in college. But really, my passion was computer games. Like, I mean, coin-op games, computer games, just the Infocom games, wizardry. Like, I loved it, and so I taught myself how to program. And I was in college, just second period, and I thought, I don't want to do this. Like, I didn't wait till the end of the day. And so I started a company when I was, 18 years old. They thought, I want to.
What year was this?
Well, 1980,
That was very early.
No, 81, sorry, 81.
For a young person starting their own company in 81. That's
There was no industry around me.
Yeah.
In Orange. There was not HP or, or any of the something you guys got to work with, So I just figured I'll try to do it. But I just figured I'd be a programmer, really. I mean, worst case, I didn't even dream that I'd be able to make a living making games. It just seemed like far beyond. It would be like a hobby that I would just end up programming. That's really how I got into it.
Yeah, I was sure you'd be an agent in QA. You would have been good at it, by the way. Mine, unfortunately, is incredibly.
Is that a compliment?
That's absolutely a compliment. I like to hear it. Mine's actually incredibly simple. I had a security clearance working at the Nevada test site during the Reagan administration. That's called a full employment job. So I just would have stayed, and I would have hated myself. I left because I was disquieted, because I went from Jimmy Carter, who's a nuclear engineer who thought this was fabulous science, to Ronald Reagan, who said, this fucker's going to use them.
Right? Well, Sid,
I think I was always destined to be. I don't think another career was ever in the cards. I mean, I always played games, loved to play games. When I was a kid, I gamed and gamed. And I learned how to program in college and got a kind of a boring job. But when the Atari 800 came out, it was like, this is what I was meant to do. I remember I programmed a version of Space. I hand assembled in 6502 a version of Space Invaders onto cassette tape and took it down to the local computer store and said, you guys want to sell this? And just the two things that I love to do, games and computers, magically came together, and it was pretty much, I think it was inevitable.
So basically, programming without a safety net.
We never knew what was impossible, so we tried.
I'm similar.
and you go back to thank this individual for helping you make it such a good short life choice.
But so like that, for example, well, that inspires a question.
I mean, you're British. His name wasn't Frodo, but
how many people here are self-taught in their initial program? So, everybody?
not me.
Oh, you learned programming in college?
First programming I did it all was in college. I took a Fortran course, and then the next term a PL1 course.
Okay.
I had some 7th grade Fortran punch card programming, which I learned, but I hated it so much, the cumbersomeness of it, that I just gave up. And it wasn't until my first week in college and I discovered Don's computer game that suddenly thought, oh, maybe there's some reason to do this.
I took one semester of Fortran to keep on fair and all that. I hated it. Hated it.
How many people started ever programmed with punched cards?
Dude, I had a job with punch cards.
My God.
Sticker tape. Punch tape.
Yeah. So
Okay, Dak my shit.
No, I was
CDC had those.
Oh, okay.
So we had all of the above. I had all of payroll for the Department of Energy for the Nevada test site was run on fucking cards. And I would have to sort those cards after we're done and clean them. And I knew all about hanging Chad. I had hanging Chad in my entire life. No, our high-tech version was eventually we were actually teletyping straight into 9-track. That was our big innovation in our world, was 9-track. But we had cards and paper tape forever.
I still have a full box of cards. Yeah, I got rid of most programs I wrote in grad school.
Machines probably don't exist anymore to read them.
Right? No, they're
basic listings of
people read them with smartphone. Oh, there's an application that you put the card, take a picture, and it reads it. It's the slowest program entry methodology ever. But if you got a deck of cards,
my teletype printouts just disintegrated. That was one of the saddest things.
oh yeah,
Because I just loved looking over. I not only had listings, but I had innings. I had saved 5 innings. I could like watch and read. That was a lot of fun.
Depends on the people who never got their degree, right? So I programmed before I went to college. And I went to college to learn the program. I did all the programming courses in the first 18 months and then slogged out the rest of the degree just to get the ticket. And that was painful. Don't do that. Well, that was not the right way to do it.
I did the same thing as you but then I parted after I was done with the CS courses.
I kind of failed after 18 months. But I did learn, and most of the courses weren't shit, but a couple of them I actually learned.
My college let me do my big senior project, which was APL coded simulation of mining the asteroid belt, to show off all the astronomy and programming I'd done. And I made it into a game just as a fun way to show that off, not knowing it. But I'm so indebted to that college, and my daughter ended up going there too, because they just let you, we're talking
They
about,
let you loose.
you talked about leaving college because you wanted lifetime learning, and that was one of the few colleges that really pushed, just you can be whatever you want, just constantly reinvent yourself.
What I said is it's an inferiority complex that because I didn't finish, I figure I have to keep going.
Yeah, got to keep going no matter what.
I was lucky there was a guy named Dr. Paul Yale who got together with a student who later became a successful thing and started a computer science study group in the college that had no computer science funding. And they got a grant, I told the story to some of you, to bring its computer terminals into a dormitory. So it escaped all the structure, which in the early 70s said, you must be faculty, you must be upper class.
Yeah.
Nothing fun, only serious. I knew Dartmouth, they had exceptions. I think we were the only dorm in the country where liberal arts students had unfettered active computer. I lived in that dorm. I walked into my dorm after class meeting on November 5th, 1971. I still remember. And good to say. And that professor must have caught such hell for getting us on that game. With these sponsored, so he's gone now, but I'm always being grateful for that. That's great. I forgot to thank Sid mainly so I played a ton of your games, Sid. It's probably Civ 3 and Red Storm Rising the most. Red Storm Rising, I was a big sim guy. So
RSR is your most underrated product.
Oh yeah, it was a great, freaking fabulous. That was before I started saying Sid Meier presents.
We all knew. Gordon and I knew. We're in the sim business. Every time Sid was coming for us, we knew.
That's how I bet Gordon was talking about sub-battle simulator and World War II stuff I was doing.
Yep. Well, we have run out of time. This has been an enormously successful.
Thank you, Chris.
I've had a lot of work putting all of the records together, but it is very important that I get this done. It will take me a while, but I will keep you guys apprised of my tractor running.
Yeah, I wanted to know what was wrong with the tractor.
Thanks for your patience, Sid.
Operator primarily.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you for joining. Good to see you. Thank you.
And my pleasure.